Hello and welcome to the Rask Network. What you're about to hear and see is limited to general financial information only. Please be sure to speak to your financial planner or refer to our financial services guide available at rask.com.au/FSG before acting on the information.
Hello and welcome back to the Australian Finance Podcast. I'm your host, Kate Campbell, and I'm here today with my wonderful co-host, Owen, to do our very exciting episode, 25 Ways to Save and Invest in 2025.
Yes, this is got to be one of our favourites.
Yes, we do it. We've done it 5 years running now.
Yeah, every year there seems to be a new set of microphone and boom arms in here, but there's always new ways to save and new ways to invest. So we've got a lot of fun things, and people can download the list if they get stuck or they don't remember two of the things. There's a full list here as well as all of the back catalogue.
Some of these things you're probably already doing. Some might be a reminder to just do something that you used to do to save a little bit of money. It might be the reminder you need to start investing in 2025. We have a lot of different ideas in here. Some are a bit more fun and practical than others, but take what you need, leave what you don't, and let us know your ideas as well in the Rask community. There is a link in the show notes to join that as well.
Easy peasy. So we've got a big list to get through, 25 in total because it's 2025. So we've got to jump straight into it, Kate. What would be number one?
Now, number one, as we sit here with our coffees in hand, is actually buy a coffee machine. Owen has been raving about his latest coffee purchase in the office, so I thought this had to be at the start.
Well, yeah, that's a good one. Ozpure, shout out, bought using Amazon reviews only, basically. Like I want one of those American coffee pot things. Went on there, sort by the highest reviews, $59, Bob's your uncle. It's very good. Amazon delivers. So it was very good. Now, you also have a machine at home.
Yes, so I've got a more simple Nespresso machine. So I think it's about 50 cents a pod. So it's not the cheapest, but it's a lot cheaper than a $5 or $6 latte when I'm working from home or on the weekends and when I have people over for coffee. I'm a bit lame though. I don't use a milk frother and I microwave it. So a lot of people would think that's disgusting. You probably need a milk frother.
So you microwave the milk and you put that in the Nespresso shot?
No, so I do the shot first, then pour the milk into the cup, then microwave it for a minute. I'm a bit weird.
George Clooney is...
Don't worry, my sister's already told me that's not appropriate. Anyway.
Speaking of appropriate, DIY herb gardens is number 2 on the list.
Yes, so this is a great way to save money if you have enough sunlight, which I've had enough experience to see that some places on the balcony, you just don't get enough sunlight and all the herbs wither and die, and it's just a $50 trip to Bunnings for very poor results. But if you do get enough sunlight on your kitchen windowsill, your balcony, maybe you can put some pots in your car park, which is what I'm currently doing because that seems to be the only place I can get things to live and no one's told me off yet. Grow some herbs, grow some basil, grow some dill, grow some rosemary, grow some chives. You can really spice up your meals. And they usually cost a few dollars each if you want to buy them. And there's a lot of plastic if you get them from the supermarket. So if you can grow some, maybe rotate with your neighbours. So they grow a few herbs, you grow a few herbs, and you can swap when you need.
I actually like this idea because you can buy those when you go to like the fruit and veg section of your supermarket. You can buy those like herbs that have the roots. They're in the pots, so like basil and stuff.
And you can plant them.
Yeah, you can. And that's where we've had our greatest success in growing basil in the southern climate. Obviously, if you're up north, it might be a bit different, but
and you've got the space to grow herbs.
Yeah, we've got multiple veggie patches. We're very fortunate, blessed to have a garden, which seems like a very rare thing these days in Australia for homeowners. But yeah, we've got 3 veggie patches. And what typically happens in the life cycle of a veggie patch owner, Kate, I'll give you the tip, is you start off with like, we're going to grow tomatoes, we're going to grow cucumbers, lettuce, we're going to grow chives, we're going to grow all this stuff. And then after one season, you're like, that was a lot of effort. I'm just going to do potatoes and tomatoes
this whole season.
Yeah. And my veggie patch has now become how many potatoes can I grow in 1 year? And Sarah's has become how many lettuce is just going to regrow itself because the lettuce just drops seeds and the next season they come back. So we've got unlimited supply of lettuce and potatoes, which I think are pretty good. That's pretty much staples. Yeah. So that's done pretty well. But a DIY herb garden, absolutely. You don't need a lot of space. You can get the kits from Bunnings if you're interested. Like you said, $50 and you walk away. And it's a good little project for most people. Number 3 on this list is something, and it's probably more a reminder for anyone that's new to the show or even just a regular listener. This time of year is a wonderful time of year to set up and get your automations going. So There are multiple ways you can do this. You can automate investing nowadays. Like Perla talks about this a lot in their auto invest feature and all that sort of stuff. You can do it with like banks like UpBank or any bank through BPay, through regular recurring things, budgeting with our friends at Pocketsmith. There's so many different ways. You can use a spreadsheet. You can do so many things. There are so many tools and they're great to automate your investments, Kate.
Yeah. And I'm someone that likes to see meaningful progress towards my savings goals. So for me, having multiple different savings accounts, or in my case, offset accounts that are labeled, and I have set goals for each one, and I have automations going into each of those accounts, I can see the progress. Whereas if I have all of the money going into one single savings account, it's hard to know what I'm working towards. I know some people do that really well with a spreadsheet, and they just sort of clearly differentiate what all of those funds in that one account are. But for me, I like to see the progress towards those little goals. So even banks like UBank or UpBank, you can really label things and make it super clear. But most banks are letting you have a few. I think ING is probably still the holdout in how many savings accounts, or is it transaction? Oh, it might be the interest that.
Yeah.
I'll take that back.
Yeah, it's the interest. So with ING, how many like different accounts you can get the interest on it has to be linked. So it's a real subtlety. Some people that have ING, a lot of people read the Barefoot books, got it, then didn't realize you kind of have to make sure that's linked and know which one's linked for that bonus interest.
Yeah, so if you have all your different savings accounts, you might not be getting interest on all of them.
But we've talked about offset accounts, as you just mentioned. So those things are great too. The next thing on our list, if I'm keeping up, it's number 4, which is get on your local council's mailing list for free activities. What do you get if you do that?
Your local council does a whole lot more than hard rubbish collection. If you sign up, you'll find out they're running food pantries, they're doing gardening workshops. A lot of councils are really focusing on how to increase sustainability in their local community. My local council did a free native plant giveaway earlier this year, which I've got growing in my car park pot garden. So it's probably not where a native plant wants to be. A lot of local councils organise tool libraries, toy libraries, so you don't have to buy all these different things, maybe even puzzles, fitness programs as well. There's a lot of councils that own local recreation centres, so you can sign up and do activities there, or even book halls and lots of facilities. So you just find out a lot of what's happening. And a lot, like even my local council does a big Christmas carols that's free for everyone in the park. So you wouldn't know about that normally unless you walk past a sign or you've signed up to the list.
That native giveaway thing, I live in the Shire of Yarra Valley in Victoria's outer east, and they did something like this where if you had a certain size block, you could get a number of plants. And I know they do this all over Victoria, so I'm assuming they do it all across the country because they want people to plant more native plants instead of the ornamental pears. Shocker, I do have a couple of those too, don't worry. But that's really important because it's really good for the birds, for nature around you. I'm a big bird guy, and I don't mean that like in the sense that I'm like weird about it. I just like, if you look around your garden or you walk through the streets, notice where the birds live, and none of them will be in those pines, those oaks, they're just not there, and it's sad. But they are in the native species. So that's a really good thing your council can help you out with, and you wouldn't know unless you sign up.
Yeah,
we actually signed up because of this, by the way. And we found out that there's over Christmas, there was a thing where it was like local bands. The council put it on. They shut down the main street, and there was different stages and all this sort of stuff. So it's really cool, and it's free.
Yeah, and I remember Mitch was telling me as well, the council was really great at organising new parent groups. So that's something else to look at. And he said that was a fantastic resource for him and his partner.
Cool. I like it. So number 5 on the list is try before you buy.
Yes.
Sounds like it's like a warning for lived experience. What have you bought?
Well, this is less of a warning and more of everyone offers some sort of trial these days, whether it's a streaming service, whether it's Audible, whether it's a Fitness First membership. A lot of them will do a 1-week trial, a 1-month trial where it's free or discounted or something like that before you lock into a longer term or an ongoing subscription. So that's something that's really valuable as well, especially if you're new to a local area and you're not sure which fitness gym you want to go to or classes. They will often do maybe a week for $30. So you can try some classes and see if it's something you like. I just would make use of it and even ask. If they don't offer something, it might be worth asking before you commit to a 6-month ongoing membership.
Try before you buy is just so important, even on little things like you just said, but big things. I love hearing the stories of people that move to a rural area or go to a different city because they were a tourist there. Sell their house, move, hate it, come back, and regret it. And one of the best things you can do when you do those big moves is just go and rent or go and try something. It doesn't seem as fulfilling, but go and try it. Big moves, go and try it before you buy.
Yeah, I remember on some of the property experts we've had on the show, they said before you move to a brand new area that you've never lived in, actually just spend a weekend there, even if you can't rent because of your situation. Spend a weekend there, walk around like a local, go to the cafe, go to the parks, walk around at nighttime and go to one of the local restaurants and really see, is that the community you want to be a part of?
Yeah, definitely. It's just so important. So from the smallest thing right up to the biggest thing, Costco, if you're a fan, I was there yesterday and they had these, I'm not going to eat them, but they had these like sausages just grilling and you could just try them. And then right next to that is like the meat area. You could pick up your meat. But so many great little things like that. Just try it before you buy it. Absolutely wonderful. And this isn't necessarily something that we're going to talk about today, but there's some really good opportunities for people to do those things and they actually lock in discounts as well. So an extra layer to that. Speaking of buying staples in bulk, Costco, I went yesterday and they have like obviously everything is bulk, but we were able to get things like, those Magnum ice creams. We're coming into summer. We've found ourselves, we were eating them. I'm not a big ice cream guy, but
once they're in the freezer,
they're dangerous.
Yeah,
especially the almond ones. Not sure about the passion fruit. Not sure about the passion fruit.
Passion fruit.
It's like passion fruit, white chocolate. I don't know.
Strange.
Someone from like Magnum's going to be listening to this and send us an unlimited supply and be like, here, now you like them. But seriously, every time, I don't know about you, every time I'm on Coles online shopping, or Woolies, whatever you use, or at Costco or at Aldi, and something's like too good to be true, tuna, baked beans, rice, olive oil, these types of things, last forever. I go nuts. Do you do that?
I don't really have the room to go too nuts, but if I see olive oil half price and I know it's the olive oil I like, I might buy 2.
Yeah.
So it is a bit space dependent. In a small inner city apartment, there's only so much room when you've got other people living in the space. So I don't stock up on too many tins, but if I know I've got them coming up that month, I'll buy a couple.
Yeah.
But it's more things I'll stock up on. Like I'll use Who Gives a Crap for toilet paper. So I sort of get a half year supply at a time. The challenge is storage, so they are sort of scattered in different cupboards.
I think we've all done this from time to time. It's like a coming of age thing where we all kind of subscribe to something or get a lot of toilet paper that we don't need.
Yeah. But their subscriptions do come around really quickly. I got the email the other day and I was like, I still have a lot of toilet paper left, but they let you skip for 8 weeks. So I just did that. So that was nice and easy.
I get Yarn. So you got me onto,
I told you about that.
Yeah. So Yarn, YARNN. I think there's 2 N's there. Could be wrong. And you can get it online. And I just love anything that takes something out of my life that I don't really enjoy doing and I can just automate it. Like I wish Coles would just apply AI to my orders every week and just be like, this guy likes Carmen's protein yogurt thing, muesli bar. Just get more of that. Like, just do that. I just love those types of things where it makes my life I spend less time on the things that don't matter.
Yeah.
And that with that yarn thing, it's obviously great, supports Indigenous businesses as well. And I was around the back the other day and I heard someone rock up at the front door and I walked around and I just saw this gigantic box of toilet paper. I bought the biggest one you could possibly buy. And it is like, it's like a small fridge.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, what am I going to do with this thing? I already had half the other box. I was like, oh gosh. So what am I going to do? I've probably got like 100 toilet rolls now.
Yeah. And you can also use Amazon as well.
Yeah.
For the staples. So I might use that for shampoo and conditioner because you can often get them for half price on Amazon. I know they're probably underpaying 1 million people in that process, but it does help.
But I mean, it's cheap.
Yeah. Or sometimes you got to cut costs. Do you buy it from Amazon or do you buy it from Woolworths?
Yeah.
The same shampoo and conditioner.
Yeah. The thing is, that's it. You're trading something that you're going to buy at Woolies or Coles for Amazon. I do the same thing. I look at Amazon now almost by default for anything that's like non-perishable.
Yeah, they sell Red Rock Deli chips for half the price. It's quite insane. Tonic the other day. I got a whole case of tonic water from Amazon.
Oh, what's that going to be mixed with, Kate?
A bit of gin.
Oh,
Drink responsibly,
please. Christmas gin. Thank you, 4 Pillars. Just
4
kidding.
Pillars
Drink
is
responsibly.
great. I've really come around to them this year.
Okay. If you haven't used it for 2 years, this is our next tip. Try selling it online. This is a good idea. You mentioned not having space before. I went and bought a chest freezer because I remember growing up, and this is not related to Magnum ice creams, although it could be. I'd go to like my grandparents' like shed and there would be a chest freezer in there. The type that when you walked up to it, your veins started to pop out of your arm like there's some radiation coming from this freezer. That kind of thing.
Well, once you go to the abattoir, you need somewhere to put the whole sheep.
Well, that's it. But now we just got a really energy efficient one that sits under the house, kind of like a downstairs area. And it is amazing. So when we buy these things and we need to freeze things, it is so good for storing things, for keeping the produce longer, for example. So I did this, and this is how it relates to this point, is my mate then saw this. He came over and he's like, oh, that's a really good chest freezer. I paid like $399 for it. I thought it was a bargain too. It's a really good one. And he took a photo of the name of it. I can't remember what it is. He instantly got on Facebook Marketplace and saw someone had just bought one and he got one for like $30. I was like, you jerk. Like, he's literally just taken exactly what I thought. And he's like, someone's selling that. Someone's not using that. So I'm going to go on Facebook Marketplace. Went and picked it up that day.
Wow.
So he got it for like 1/10 the price that I paid. But this is the idea, is people sell stuff online and you get a good deal and the seller gets to get some cash.
Yeah, and it gives you some extra cash for Christmas time, the holidays, for investing in 2025. So tonight when you're at home, just have a look around and think about what is coated in dust. What haven't you worn? What kitchen implements haven't you used? What
Old
technology?
iPhones.
You've probably got some iPhones sitting around that you could get a bit of cash for. What is sitting around collecting dust that you haven't used for 2 years that you could sell on Gumtree or Marketplace or some other appropriate site?
Yeah. And just beware. Obviously, the scammers are in there. So just beware. Like, don't meet in a public space. Don't ever click a link. Like, they shouldn't be sending that. If they say some random gibberish, if the English isn't right. Yeah, PayPal,
receipt,
unfortunately, hasn't been used very well. So just keep your wits about you.
I've done
but
a few
do it.
pay IDs on the spot. So I'll come out to the front with the person and I'll just give them the pay ID and they'll pay on the spot. I can see it arrives and I just hand them the item.
Yeah, amazing.
So that seems to work.
We got these great, not deck chairs, they're like outdoor timber chairs, like the old style wooden ones that are made out of like decking style material. And they gave them for it's like $40 for like 6 chairs. They were like a bit, like they were clearly like 20 years old.
They needed some varnish.
But we sanded them and painted them, and they are like $400 chairs now, I reckon, each. It's crazy. Like, talk about making a good investment. That was a great investment, and we've done that multiple times. We got some outdoor settings and stuff, like things that people
bit of upcycling.
Yeah, absolutely. So never pay full price for movie tickets is the next one.
All right. Everyone needs to get this through their head. If they go straight to the cinema without looking at a single website beforehand, you're going to get charged an arm and a leg for a movie ticket. So everyone and his dog is offering cheap discounted movie tickets nowadays. You go through any rewards program, whether it's your super funds rewards program, your health insurance, your bank, your credit card, everyone, or even Uber. I think Uber One was offering cheap Hoyts ones when I saw it the other day. So
Telstra, Optus, if you have a phone, you can get a discount.
Yes. Have a look. You will find you have a rewards program somewhere with something. You might have to log into a few places, but even my super website, I log in and click rewards and then I can get cheap movie tickets. So Hoyts, Village, Palais, all these different cinemas have programs. Or even if you look on the cinema's website directly, they'll often have times like cheap Tuesdays, or if you go before midday on a Sunday.
What super fund's this? What super fund you with? I should know this.
Rest.
And you can do it on there.
Yeah. Well,
oh, cool. That's cool. I didn't know that. That's great. I saw yesterday that NAB was giving away free AFLW tickets. That's pretty cool. But those types of programs are out there. And I think particularly if you've got a family, it gets really expensive to go to the movies. One of the things that I would also say is, take the kids to Woolies or take the kids to Aldi the day before, 2 days before, and say, hey, we're going to get some chocolate or we're going to get some ice creams or, I don't know, walnuts if you're that way inclined, let's be honest. But take them and say, hey, we're going to buy these because we're going to take them to the movies on Saturday. And it extends the happiness that they get. So they get the time with you, they get the thriftiness, they get the idea of delayed gratification all in one, and you'll save a bucket load. So I would use that as a way to extend the impact that you have with your kids around money. And it's just a really simple way to lower the cost. Because a family, 2 or 3 kids, you're looking at $150 to go to the movies. It's a lot of money.
Yeah. And just on top of this, whether it's a comedy festival, whether it's a theatre company, if you're signed up to their mailing list, they'll often do 25% off, or they might be trying to get rid of tickets a few days before a show. So just keep an eye out. If it's something that's important to you, sign up and you'll often see a discount for something you already want to buy.
Yeah, just email Monique at Rask. She's our go-to for anything live concert or entertainment related. I'm sure she's got a secret link there. Yeah, she's nodding. She knows. The next thing is reduce, swap, or pause your regular expenses.
Good job, Owen.
Yeah.
You managed to read that. So go and do a bank account audit this summer. Review all of the different things that have been just automatically coming out of your bank account without you realizing, because life gets busy, 12 months goes by and you realize you haven't logged on to Disney Plus for 12 months, yet you've paid them well and truly 12 months worth of subscription. So go through. You probably don't need all 5 streaming services and entertainment platforms at once. So maybe figure out, okay, I'm going to use this one for the next few months. Once I'm done there, I'll alternate to another one. So it is just a really good reminder to go through in-app subscriptions as well. They always catch you off guard because you just see it going through as Apple and you're not really sure, was that for my storage subscription or my
Apple.com/bill, like random? Yeah.
Yeah, so make sure you go through. I remember in the day it was sort of magazine subscriptions that would get people, but that's probably not the case anymore.
Like New Idea or something.
Yeah. I don't know. What did I?
At the Woolies register, you just pick up a magazine. So, what's going on with Prince Harry now?
That was definitely what I was buying when I was a kid. New Idea, but
it makes sense.
And sometimes if you've had a big subscription go through, like a 12-month, maybe it's a software subscription or the Calm app subscriptions just build you another 12 months and you totally forgot about it, give them a message, send them an email, and often they will pro rata refund you if you just ask nicely.
Yeah, just ask nicely. Yeah, it's I can't believe someone wouldn't be logging into Disney Plus. It's outrage. Grey's Anatomy is up to season 23.
Is that what you mean?
Meredith's doing something now. So what I'm saying is, like there's some great resources there. And if you do have a subscription, just think about it. Even if it's not like a hard rule like you're saying, like you haven't used it, maybe it's a case of how much do I use it? Is there a better way to do it?
Or like you said the other day, if the sporting season that you usually subscribe to this service for is not on at the moment, or they're in rejuvenation phase. I don't know what players do in the off season. Like what do AFL players do after the final? Well, I'm sure they go to Bali or something.
Yeah, they go probably like the
Greece but you don't need your subscription, so you probably, unless you watch cricket.
Yeah.
I don't watch any of these things, so I'm not sure where you watch them, but you could pause it for a few months until it comes
definitely
back.
could, Soz Optus Sport, but yes, you could.
But the women's footy's on, so you might want to watch that too.
Yeah, I think, you can go. And there's, like I said, tickets as well, so that's great. The next one is use click and collect or online delivery for groceries. I got you here, Kate.
Yes.
I'm a big user of Coles Online. I had a massive bingle on the weekend with, I tried to.
People say that when they hit a car.
Yeah, but I did like.
A bungle.
So I tried to, bungle. Let's do bungle. I tried to get around the rules with Coles Online. So you can do this thing now. So I think they're all threatened by Uber plus Amazon plus literally everything. So what you can do with Coles and Woolies now is you can do same-day delivery or what they call rapid delivery. I was at the cafe the other morning. I was like, I need to get stuff for dinner. I ain't going 5 minutes to Coles. I'm a Coles Plus member. I'll just click the button and get the stuff delivered before I get home. And it was like within 40 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so I did that.
Included?
Yeah, because I'm a member. I pay $20 a month, which gets me more flybys, discounts, like the incentives you were talking about before and benefits, but also free delivery on orders over $40. And literally everything's over. You could order one block of mainland cheese soon and it'll be $40. So I think like I make use of this insanely, and I stuffed the system up because I tried to do multiple orders in one day, and I think the system just got confused. But I make full use of this. I don't know if you do. Like online ordering saves me heaps of money. It's way more efficient for my life. Do you use it?
Yeah. Well, I use click and collect, so I probably could use delivery. I don't know.
Are you like a member of like Woolies or Coles?
No, but I did finally get flybys a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
My friend couldn't believe. After everything I've done with the podcast, I didn't have a Flybuys account. So
That's
now I
a
am
lot of
3/4
expectation.
of a way to a Smeg vegetable knife.
Really?
Yeah, they've got a current campaign going. You get credits towards a knife. But now I'm a Flybuys member, proudly Flybuys as of 3 weeks ago. So I've definitely not made use of that while I've been going to Coles this year. But I just find it really good that I can plan my meals out. I can just go on, order everything in one spot. I really just don't like going into the grocery store. If I see that broccoli how $10 a stem, I will not put broccoli in my meal. I'll just find another alternative vegetable. So I find it really good to just track how I'm going. And if I do see olive oil on special, it's much easier to just add 2 bottles to the cart when you're online ordering and picking it up with a car.
You know, I used to research all these companies, Coles, Woolies and stuff, to invest in them and blah, 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 blah. And what we found in the data was that on average, like it was like 22% of Australians pick their supermarket based solely on location, which is no longer a thing because you can order from anywhere. But I have this very strong view that before the year 2030, basically no one will go to supermarkets, like literally no one. Because what they'll be is if you go in there, it'll just be a bunch of people running around grabbing orders for online delivery or click and collect. I went past my local Woolies the other day. I haven't been in a supermarket in donkey's months because I just don't need to go into one. But I went past the other day and I noticed, I was like, oh, that Woolies, it's got like a undercover area for the click and collect that's bigger than my local train station. Like it is a whole thing that they got going on there. And this is a sign of the times.
Distribution centres now.
Yeah, they're not supermarkets, they're distribution centres, exactly. There's so many people and they're just humming around, doing things, packing things, getting them ready.
It's probably going to make it really hard for new players that want to get in, sell their product in the supermarket to get noticed now. Because if I'm in the supermarket and I'm looking around, I go, oh, this looks really interesting product. I might try this new brand. But if I'm shopping online, I add my list to cart. I get the same butter, I get the same milk.
But when you click on a product on these websites, it's really cool because you click on it and obviously it's in their interest to do this, but it will then show you like also customers also buy like the Amazon thing. Like the other day, they didn't have my sourdough thing that I normally get because I was ordering too early in the morning because it's made every day. And they suggested like 4 other products.
Okay.
And so like there'll be still things
like
that.
So it might service newer brands.
Yeah, and I think it's great because like, I mean, I'm sure something's going to happen with cinemas. We talked about cinemas, not to go too off rails in this chat, but like cinemas are going to have to do something in the next few years to be like, we've got these cinemas, they're empty a lot of the time. What do we do with them? It's just like the supermarkets. We've got these supermarkets, they're empty. What are we going to do with them? Well, we'll just make them like mini distribution centers and everyone just orders online. Simple. And so I think there's a lot of
I can't
good
remember
things
the
to
last
come.
time I've seen a cinema with more than about 10 people in there.
Yeah, which is sad because it was always such a good thing for folks. Like, you know, you go on your first date, you go on your second
I remember high
date,
school going with groups
date.
of friends to the cinemas. It was just like
That
what you
too.
did on the weekend.
Yeah. So anyway,
All right.
find a better deal on your health insurance.
Yes, this is a perfect time of year. You've got some time on a hot summer's afternoon. You're staying inside, staying cool. You need to review your health insurance if you have health insurance and just make sure you're getting a good deal. Loyalty does not pay with these kind of things. You're probably paying more than you need to. So look at what you've already got. So what are you covered for? Is that what you want to be covered for? Do you suddenly need glasses? So maybe that's something you want to add to your plan. So think about what you have now. Is that what you still want? Or do you want to add things? Do you want to go up cover, down cover, depending on your life circumstances? Do you want extras? Do you just want hospital cover? So look, websites like Choice, iSelect, Private Health, they give you comparison websites. Have a look at a few. Sometimes they don't surface all the options in the same way. And just make sure that you're getting what you want. You can often, if you talk to someone on the phone, you might be able to get them to shorten or waive a waiting period. They have a lot of flexibility with things like that.
Yeah, if you give them a call. As with all things, insurance, it's really important that you don't just go and swap until you understand what you're getting coverage for. Because if you've got a medical history, as we all do over the age of 20, just be mindful that you probably want cover for certain things. Like it's really important.
And as we like to remind people, if you're in a state where you don't automatically have ambulance cover, that's something that you can usually pay for via your state ambulance. I know you can in Victoria. It's not that expensive for
it's like $120 for a family or something. It's not a lot of money.
But it costs a significantly greater amount if you need to use an ambulance.
So one of the things to keep in mind if you do get one of those private health insurances with ambulance cover in a different state is that check the T's and C's because the ambulance cover often only covers you to the first hospital, but sometimes you need to go to the second hospital. So let's say Kate Campbell reignites her passion for netball in 2025, and she goes out and snaps her ankle. And
It's highly likely if I reignited that passion.
So she goes down to the local ER, and they're like, "Whoa, we can't deal with that type of ankle here. Look at it." And then they send her to another one. Sometimes that second trip is no bueno. You're not covered. So you got to make sure that you read the T's and C's. Independent ambulance cover, like this one here in Victoria, which you've just looked up.
Yeah, so Ambulance Victoria's cover, so you can be covered just for ambulance through them. For a single person, it's $53 for a 12-month membership. For a family, it's $106. And Ambulance Victoria say on their website that the average cost of emergency transport is more than $1,200. So
Yep.
I think everyone knows someone who's had to be in an ambulance in the last year or two. So make sure you save that money.
Next on the list, which if I'm going by my mathematics, it's number 11. Could be wrong. We don't have numbers in front of us. Use cashback and savings websites. What do you use, Kate?
Yeah, I use Cash Rewards. So it's a browser extension. You can also get the app on your phone. Just sign up. It will run, if you're buying something online, it'll tell you, hey, you can activate and get a reward on this site. So you get some cash back. And I know you also use Raise Rewards. You could also use Honey
prolific.
for coupons.
Yeah, I'm a pest on Raise. Like, don't get me on your Raise account. I'll do some stuff. I tell you what, like, you get me in that rewards section, I'm spending money. So every time we travel, we buy through Raise, and then links to our booking.com. I've said this 100 times on the show, and then it gets invested into our ETF portfolio 60 days later. Over the last few years, we've accumulated thousands and thousands of dollars. Just as a bit of an FYI, just check on the booking.com website versus when you go through the Raise link, just to make sure you're getting a good price. Most of the time you are, but there are some instances where there's a bit of discrepancy. So just check that.
I'm just looking at my Cash Rewards now, and I got $5.60 from Class Bento when I booked a pottery workshop for my parents.
You said bento, I was thinking like sashimi or something.
Monique got me onto Class Bento, actually. Ticket Tech, I got a small amount of cash back. Bed, Bath and Table, Hostel World, Apple, lots of different brands that if you're spending the money anyway, I mean, it says over a lifetime.
Can you read that list of things again? Just the places that you spent money?
This is over a few years.
Sure it is.
Apple.
Yep.
Hostel World.
Yep.
Bed, Bath and Table.
Okay.
Ticket Tech.
Okay.
Class Bento.
Yep.
Who gives a crap? Mm-hmm. Coles Online gave me 10 cents.
God, good on them.
And Amazon gave me 90 cents. They don't pay much on books, which is usually
like if I was to do like an FBI profile of your spending. Wonder what that would say.
What does this say about me? I don't know.
Anyway, thanks for letting us dive deep into your life. Another one is the Honey browser extension. It's a free extension. You can put it in your Chrome browser. Every time you visit a website, it will search the internet for coupon codes and see if one applies. It actually is so cool when you think about it.
And it also, Honey gives you price history as well. So it'll say in many circumstances, this item has fallen in value over the last 2 months.
Yep. That's cool.
That sounds more like an investing term, but the price has dropped or has risen.
Price has dropped.
All right. Next one I have is what I'm doing right now is get your tax return sorted and maximize that return. So if you're the person like me who puts off doing their taxes for quite a while, make sure you do it. Get all your documents together. Make sure you've got email folders set up so you can drag things during the year. Maybe you have a spreadsheet to record things. Put all those receipts from donations into one spot. Have a folder in your Google Drive or on your computer. And then everything's ready to go to send to the accountant or to do it yourself when the time comes.
Some tools. I've got 4 tools for you to remember. 1, Navexa and ShareSite for your investing tax reporting.
And free if you've only got a small number of holdings.
Yes. The other one would be Xero if you're a small business or medium business. Like the heavens have opened up here. That is amazing, that tool. And then you can also use, I think it's called the MyTax app from the ATO itself. There's a few other apps, by the way, but this one in particular is good for tradies, and it can help you deduct mileage, like for in between trips and keep a record and all that sort of stuff. So these are just some pro tips. There's obviously all the tips for filing your tax return.
Yeah, we did a great episode with the ATO Assistant Commissioner earlier this year, and they've got so many resources now for individuals. So if you do want to do your taxes yourself, you can really just follow their instructions.
Yeah, and if you're an ETF investor, you get your statement So if you only have like one or two ETFs, if you're like the one hit wonder, or as Phoebe would say, one and done, if you just pick one ETF, they will send you like, it's a Vanguard, it's a Beta Shares, it's a whatever.
And you can just check it against the pre-fill and make sure it's all correct.
And then boom, Bob's your uncle, you're done. So you can get that sorted. If you get a little bit more complicated with your tax return, like you'll need an expert. But a good way to get value from your accountant when you're there with them is because you're just talking to them and they're just doing some stuff that you don't really understand. But just ask them about things that you're thinking of buying, or maybe they know things that you could deduct that you don't, or things you could purchase if you're a tradie. You know, these types of things are really good. Just use their time. You got them. So potluck with friends.
All right.
What does that mean?
It's my savings tip that I swear by, because
She did
going
say
out
this was the one
with a group of friends, the time you order and drinks and everything, it just costs a fortune, and you might only have 2 hours to be in and out. So where you can, try and organize friends to come over for brunch or lunch or dinner, or everyone brings one dish. Maybe you go to the park and do a picnic, you do a barbecue. Make it really easy, because usually the reason we want to go out with friends, apart from catching up, is no one wants to really think. There doesn't want to be a huge amount of hassle involved. You don't want elaborate meals. So do something like Mexican or a barbecue where it's super easy, or everyone chips in $10 for the meal and the supplies. So lots of fun, good memories, and also it's a lot more chilled because you can just sort of hang out for 4 hours and there's no one kicking you out. You can drink gin without paying $25. So
yeah, Kate's got heaps by the sounds of it. So everyone at Kate's house this weekend. Yeah. Okay, cool. So potluck with friends. The final and 15th one on our list. So I say final because then we're going to move on to the investing tips. But this one is make sure you're in a high interest savings account. So obviously, I think the online lingo, like if I was like a Reddit bot, I would probably say like HISA. HISA, is that how they say it? HISA? High interest.
I don't know if someone says HISA.
HISA.
HISA?
That's new lingo. So make sure you're in a high interest savings account.
Yes. So if you have a little pot of money sitting aside, saving up for a travel or a house deposit, or it's even your emergency fund, make sure you are getting a good interest rate. So we've talked about savings accounts before on the podcast. It's often the regulars that come up. So I can see that ING right now, on the date of recording on the 27th of November 2024, is offering 4.95% per year on your savings account. But there is a number of conditions to meet with ING. So like that's probably something that doesn't work for me. Ubank is offering 5.5% up to $100,000. They've got a small criteria of $500 per month into their accounts.
Interesting.
Macquarie's offering 5% up to 250,000. So if you're above that, then well done. And that doesn't have any conditions. So that's good.
Get into it. I like it. Get your high interest savings account sorted. If you're a retiree and you're listening to the show, I would suggest that you start to lock in term deposits of varying maturities, not all in one, because I think interest rates probably will come down. And that means you need to start looking at other things for your wealth to maintain your income in the next few years.
So a lot of you are probably in a higher interest savings account already if you've been listening to the podcast, but many Australians just have the bank account they set up when they're a kid and they're just there. And that's often not the best deal going around because the bank knows that and they know that you're not going to do anything. So make sure you take action with this. Really, one small move. There's some names that just come up again and again as high interest payers on your savings, and just once you're there, make sure you're meeting the criteria and you're good to go.
You made me think of the bank that I used when I was a kid. I just sent like a chill down my spine to think that I would still be using that. 10 ways to invest in 2025. So here we go into the back stretch, ladies and gentlemen. The first one is dip your toe into micro investing and fractional investing. So slightly different things, but slightly the same. They just make investing accessible, okay?
Yes. So if you're listening to this podcast right now, or you're interested in getting a friend or family member involved, sometimes the easiest way is to just start with $5, to start with a micro investing app. We've talked about names of platforms like Raise or Sharesies, Pearler Micro. Note they're a sponsor of the show. Stake. They're apps that you can start with a really small amount of money and just get a feel for it. Get a feel for seeing your $5 go to $4.50, $5.50, the fact that it's not a savings account. And that can start to build your confidence as you explore and learn, because if 2025 is the year you're learning about investing, having a little bit of money in the game does make it really interesting and can really help build your confidence.
If you're the next step on, maybe you've been listening to the podcast for a while. Maybe you got a little bit more money. You got more than $500. Now it's time to invest in an ETF. If you don't know what to pick, there's over 350 of them. It sounds like there's a lot of things to do. Go and pick one of the Australian shares ETFs. So common examples are VAS from Vanguard, A200 from BetaShares, disclosure sponsor of the show, the VanEck MVW, is it Spider? STW, the BlackRock or iShares one, which is IOZ. That's Monique's fave. Just say that because that was her first investment. Not something that we've invested in, Kate and I, so it's a bit rando, but that's good. It's a good one. Anyway, so you pick any one of those, get started, and you're going to have a great introduction to investing. It's a good place to start. We've got an ETF investing course if you want to take it to the next level. We've got an ETF mini series that we did a couple of years ago. So many good resources, but that's where you can start. Still don't go all in on one thing. Just get the reps in.
But just putting $50 in an Aussie ETF, suddenly you can walk down the main street in your capital city and go, I know that brand. That is something I'm an investor in. I'm a shareholder of these big companies that are employing people, providing services, creating goods and value in Australia.
Yep, love it. Invest in a good book.
All right.
Says the author. Ladies and gentlemen.
Sometimes the right book definitely can change your life. And I think $20, $30 for a lifetime of someone's knowledge and experiences is a fantastic buy and a great investment. And coming up to Christmas, I love giving books to people for Christmas presents.
Okay, other than your own, what would you give to someone? I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm going to give you the scenario. You tell me what book. I'm 2 years into my investing journey. I know a little bit about money. Go.
If you haven't read The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, you've probably read it by now because you've heard us mention it enough on the podcast. If you're still earlier on, I would say Money School by Lacey Philippich. That's a really good one by an Australian woman who worked towards financial independence on her own and got there. And she even did a TED talk on mini retirements. And she's just an awesome person. If you're in your 20s, I would say The Defining Decade by Dr. Meg Jay, which is less about money, but I just think a really interesting read. 2 years into your investing journey, a good one is called Die with Zero by Bill Perkins. And that's a really important reminder that you can't take it with you. It's really important to build wealth and to invest, but it's also important to share the resources you have with your friends and family and have memories and experiences along the way. Because at the end of the day, if you're 90 and you've got your huge stockpile of money and you haven't enjoyed it along the way, well, maybe something went wrong.
I think that's a good one for later on in your journey, to be honest. Like once you've started to accumulate some good amount of money or retirement. We had a good question over on our Australian Investors podcast last week, which was someone was saying, I'm going to give my kids, I want to give my kids and my grandkids a few $100,000 because I've got a lot of money, but I don't want to give it to them straight away. They're already investing. I'm just going to put it in their super fund. I'm like, crap idea, but it's such a good, like a really poor execution, but I guess good idea. Use that money now to spend time with them, to find common meaning and purpose. And, maybe you make it an investing game. Maybe you go into business together, like give each other lessons. And they had read that book and they were like, well, what can I do with it? And I think that's a great opportunity. And I think Die with Zero illustrates that not everything is about money. It's one thing you can't get back, which is time. Go and use that to your advantage.
If you're in a position where you do have a substantial amount of money, I don't think just planning to leave it to kids or nieces or nephews when you die is, especially if they don't have any of those financial education resources themselves, is the best plan. I've seen people given money later in life from an inheritance when they had never had money during their life, and it's really hard to understand the concepts of suddenly going from living paycheck to paycheck or living on benefits and suddenly having millions of dollars. It's very hard to sort of comprehend that and understand what money is, what you want to do with it. So if you are planning to leave someone money, I do think it's important to give as much as you can in terms of resources, experiences, learning together and helping them understand how to use this gift.
Yeah, and that's what I meant. Sorry, it was a bit harsh before about the crap idea. It's a good idea to give money to your next generation, but just use it in a way that brings you closer together. And a lot of people just accumulate wealth. There's a problem that we have in Australia, and there's going to be a lot of tax rules that change because of this. So I would do it soon rather than later. Is that people are dying with more than they're retiring with. So they've gone through their retirement years not spending enough, not spending enough on themselves and their family because they're so worried about running out. But we've got the pension anyway. So I would just say make the most of that. 2 years in, 5 years in, I'd think Dave Gow's Strong Money book is really good.
Yeah, he just announced the other day he's passed 30,000 copies.
Yeah,
so
it's unreal.
It's unreal. His is a fantastic book and his story. If you're more interested in blogs than books, I would recommend Dave Gow's Strong Money Australia blog. Aussie Firebug's website is fantastic as well.
Yeah, both good. So there's quite a few more things we've got to get to. So let's get into it. Invest your tax return. How can someone do this?
Yeah, so I've got tax return on here twice. I don't know if I meant to leave that in there a second time, but I think if you get a tax refund, and once you've sorted out the first step of doing your tax return, it could be the perfect opportunity to use a bit of this money for achieving one of your financial goals. So I'm really big on if you do get a tax refund, maybe it's $1,000, don't just let it go into general revenue because you'll just look back in 10 years and go, I don't even know where I put that tax refund. So just be a bit intentional with it. It's either you can use bits for different things, but thinking, am I going to put it towards a travel goal I have? Am I going to invest some of it? Am I using it to pay off debt? Am I going to buy this thing that I've had on my list? So just be really intentional with what you're doing with your tax refund.
So you could do a few things here if I'm picking up what you're putting down. If you go back to your first savings goal of doing your tax return, you could then use that money to start your micro investing journey, buy an Aussie shares ETF, and maybe even get an investment book to learn as you go. There's 4 of your things ticked off in one go.
Yeah.
I like that. So the next thing is invest in salary negotiation skills. Even if you're a business owner, I would say invest in your negotiation skills too, Kate, because both parties, not necessarily the employer speaking to the employee, but the employer speaking to your partners and your business partners and your stakeholders, negotiation skills are such an underrated thing in an age of AI. Having the ability to take a human perspective and understand people, so important.
Yeah, and you've just got to think about how can you build a case for a pay rise and what can you propose to your employer? How can you show them the value you've added to the company? How can you show that you understand what the company's working towards and their goals and their targets, and just building up that body of evidence. So during the year, if you get great feedback, if you get great results, keep all of that in a folder or a Google Doc or something like that. So you've actually got a case for a pay rise, because most companies, if they say, oh, we want to charge an extra $10,000 extra, they've got to have a reason for that. Or maybe sometimes it's just inflation. But usually people want a reason for why you want more money. So I think we do think people will see all of the amazing stuff we do, but sometimes life gets busy. And so you have to be able to just go, hey, you might have forgotten all of these things throughout the year, but here's what I've done. Here's what I've seen comparable salaries in the industry. Here's what I'm planning to do in the next 12 months. This is what I think is fair. Because
from an employer's perspective, if I take the other side of the table, which, coincidentally, I am on the other side of the table here with you, I would say things like, well, that makes a lot of sense. And in my head, what I would be doing is I'd be thinking, if Kate was to leave right now, I would have to replace her, train someone, pay a recruiter if that's the industry I'm in, pay for a Seek ad, go through the admin, go through the interruption. That's a lot of money. So I would rather keep someone as long as we have a negotiation where it's like, okay, we'll pay you more, but what I need for you to do is this. I need you to improve in this way. If you have that honest conversation, everyone wins. Everyone walks away from that as with a better relationship. And so as long as you approach it that way, now sometimes you got micromanager, shit boss, you obviously quit and get another job. And you'll get a pay rise anyway by doing so. That's what the numbers suggest. That's a risk, but just do it. Get away from them. But if you are in a decent job, just talk to them. Talk to your employer, talk to your manager, say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. This is what the data says. Here's what I could do to earn more. Like in our business, as you know, it's kind of the other way around. Like I like to come to everyone and say, hey, where do you want to be? But most employers aren't like that. So the next thing on our list, Kate, is invest in your superannuation, which I agree wholeheartedly with this. I think if you're younger, you don't need to put extra in, but maybe topping up for your insurance is a nice thing to do. As you get older, you want to just ram as much in there as possible, basically.
Yeah. I think the way I approached it was I might have breaks for mini retirements or travel or time off for family in the future. And so I just wanted to make sure that while I was in my 20s, I put a bit extra in my superannuation to make sure that that accounted for any gaps throughout my lifetime. So it's differed over the years as I've earned different amounts of money. For a while, I put in $200 a month personally. Sometimes I put in $500, sometimes I put in nothing. This was a goal that I was happy to be quite flexible with, depending on my situation and whether I was working, whether I was making some extra money on the side. So I do think adding a little bit extra for me has given my super quite a significant boost I can see over the last decade.
If you're new here, the reason that you use superannuation is because it's taxed at only 15%, whereas if you invest outside of super, you could be taxed up to 45% if you're a high income earner. So it makes a lot of sense. But there are rules, like you can't get the money out until you retire, until something bad happens, which you probably don't get it anyway. So I always say after 45, start making the most of super. Before that, maybe just add a little bit extra like Kate's done here.
Yeah, and Money Smart has a great calculator where you can look at the impact adding a small extra bit each month has over the lifetime. And there's also schemes you could look at on the ATO's website, like the First Home Super Saver Scheme.
Yeah, as well as co-contribution strategies, splitting your super contribution so you can do that too. Like if one partner's working, the other one's not, like in new parents and that sort of stuff. Really good ideas. Invest in your relationships. Sounds like something that would be important, Kate.
Yes. So I wanted to read this very tiny excerpt from my book, Buying Happiness.
Oh, okay. Go for it.
A study of undergraduate students in the US found that the happiest students were very social and had stronger relationships than the less happy students. The researchers pointed out that the happy students didn't experience more objectively defined good events or have any significant commonalities aside from their strong social relationships. So I think it's really important while you're working on your savings goals, you're paying off debt, you're investing, that you don't forget that the relationships are a hugely important part of your life. So you're investing time in your relationships because it's not something you can just wait until you're 80 to sort out. You actually want to boost your happiness continuously throughout your lifetime and invest in your family and your friendships and your community on an ongoing basis. So when you are setting your financial goals, your career goals, your lifestyle goals for 2025, don't forget to have a little bit of a think about how you're investing in your relationships, whether it's family, friends, community in 2025.
I remember reading this and it stood out to me because you kind of made it clear in that paragraph that it's not about those big, I'm going to go on a lavish holiday. It's literally just about the connection with other people throughout your day-to-day. That's really important. So love that. Buying Happiness, available in the Amazon bookstore, people. Go and check it out. Research and invest in a company that you love. So a company is code for shares. They are the same thing. So when you invest in shares, you buy into a company. You probably don't love Telstra, but that's an example. Apple, maybe if you love Apple, it's a love-hate relationship nowadays. I've got to admit. Yeah, it's we've had some tension recently, and I think Apple needs to invest in that relationship more than I do.
Okay,
I'm blaming Apple.
A lot of people that listen to the podcast are interested in having a look at share investing and seeing if that's something they might like to add as a complement to their core ETF portfolio. So I think the best way to start there, once you've got your ETF portfolio set up and you're investing for the future, is just start with a company you're interested in. And if it's you already love Apple or you already love Cochlear or something like that, just read their annual report, look at a recording of their last annual general meeting, start to have a look at their website, their reviews, their employee Glassdoor reviews and things like that, and just start to get a feel for that company. And we've got lots of free investing courses on Rask that you can take, but start with a company you're interested in and see if you're interested enough to actually keep going and go that step further.
Imagine if every time you went into the My Macca's app and you saved $1, you took that $1 and you invested it in Macca's shares. You'd probably have a lot of money by now because the Macca's share prices continue to go up. It's continued to roll out new products and stores around the world. And that's an example. Like if you're going to use a product, do it. I won't give away too much, but through one of our financial planning partners the other day, I heard a story of one client that came in and they saw this product, this technology company evolving because they were using it as a customer. And they were like, this person was like, oh, that seems like a really cool company. What they're doing for us is amazing. And so they just slowly started adding money over about 15 years. And they've reached financial independence early, and they've got over $1 million in this one company because it's gone up so far, but they've kept adding just like not groundbreaking amounts of money, but they just were like
regular contribute to shares. We talk about a lot with ETFs, but you can do it with shares as well.
Well, they were just like, this product is absolutely amazing. This company, let's find out what it's doing. Let's find out who the CEO is. Wow, it's really good. And just kept adding money to it. Like obviously through diversification, they have other assets like property as well, but it was like huge. So you can actually do that. Like you might not think of yourself as like the next Warren Buffett, but you can, through curiosity, go and find out about these companies. Look at the products around you. Own part of it, even if it's a small amount. Nike, whatever. Go and research it. I like it. You'll become a more worldly person in the process. The next one is invest in your happiness. Now, wouldn't it be nice, Kate, if we knew someone that did a lot of research into this topic?
Yes. So one of the things that's really good for boosting your happiness is having events and experiences booked in your calendar that you can anticipate and look forward to, and double happiness boost if you're doing it with someone else that you like.
Oh, 2 for 1.
So,
like that.
I went to a show last year by myself, and it just wasn't the same as when you go with someone else because you can talk about it afterwards. So I think if there's something that you've been talking about doing all year, that you've wanted to go to that farmer's market or this concert or this restaurant or try this hotel all year, just pick a date next year, book it in the calendar, invite someone you love or someone you hate, I don't know. Invite someone along and just have something to look forward to. So take something off that I'll do it one day list, get it booked in, and have something to look forward to in 2025.
That would be a really interesting social experiment. I love this idea of investing in your own happiness, but taking someone you hate to something you love and seeing what happens. Like I feel like that could, if someone's done that, like actively done that, like I really don't like this person, I'm going to take it to something that I like doing and see what happens. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Let us
we
know.
do it all the time with holidays. We book them in advance and we have that time to talk to people, ask for recommendations and really look forward to this experience. And then we get the experience, but try doing it with other activities as well.
You're going to hate me for saying this, but if you drool, it tastes better.
Yeah, you like saying that one.
If you drool, it tastes better. Just remember that. Anyway, the 25th thing on our list of 25 ways to save and invest in 2025 is
sorting out your goals and your investment plan for the year ahead. So if you've been a long-term listener, you've probably got an idea of what your investment plan and goals look like, but it takes some time to reflect, see if it's still heading in the direction you want, because life's very fluid. What we want to do changes on quite a regular basis. So make sure you're still heading in the right direction. Maybe your income's gone up or down, so you might need to adjust the inputs. You might not be able to save and invest as much, or you might be able to save and invest quite a bit more, depending on how things are going for you. So thinking about, what does my investment portfolio look like? Have I have I automated it where I can? Am I on track to whatever I'm working towards? We don't really like to track things by net worth. I think it's easier to track things by input because that's something you can control more. And just make sure, am I still in a high interest savings account? Am I happy with my broker? Am I really unhappy with my broker? Should I do it? Switch.
Now the time. It's easier to switch than you think. Yeah.
Yeah. And are there any other goals that are sort of popping up on the horizon that I might need to have a different strategy towards? Like, am I planning a trip in 12 months' time? Okay, I might need a special savings account and goal for that and need to adjust my cash flow and where things are going for that. So I just think take some time to reflect on the past year with your finances and set your intentions and your automations for the year ahead.
Yeah, I like it. That's great. So I'm going to recap the 15 ways to save, like the personal financy ones, and then you can recap the 10 on investing because we've done all 25. So 15 ways to save. Buy a coffee machine. I recommend the Ozpure Black Coffee Maker. DIY herb garden. Set up and automate your accounts. Everything, like Pocketsmith through to, I don't know, anything. Investing, property, whatever. Get on your local council's mailing list. Try before you buy. Buy staples in bulk. If you haven't used it for 2 years, consider selling it online. You'll be amazed how much money you can get. You can chuck it into your emergency fund, chuck it into investments. Never pay full price for movie tickets. There's heaps of things and ways to save. Swap, reduce, and pause your regular expenses. If you just go through your bank statement, just do a quick audit. It takes 10 minutes. Just use a highlighter or on your phone, just underline things. Done. Click and collect or use online delivery as we do. It's convenient. It's easy. Find a better deal on your health insurance. They do charge this lovely thing called a loyalty tax. So the longer you stay with them, it doesn't always go down. Use cashback and savings websites if you can. Install the browser extensions, etc. Get your tax returns sorted and try to maximize it. Dig up those receipts or just go through your bank statement. Once again, there's 2 birds, 1 stone. Potluck with friends, says Kate. She recommends barbecue or Mexican. Make sure you're using a high interest HISA. That's a savings account. Make sure you're using a high interest savings account and have it actually connected properly so you are earning. Over to you, Kate.
I still don't think anyone says HISA. Not in relation to savings accounts anyway. All right. We're going to be investing in 2025, and whether that's financially, in our education, in our relationships, that's what we're going to do. So dip your toe in with micro investing or fractional investing. You could try an app like Raise, Sharesies, Pearl Micro. Try investing in an Australian ETF. We mentioned some names earlier. We've also got an ETF investing course, mini series. We'll link them in the notes as well for you. Invest in a good book. If you haven't read Psychology of Money already, that is definitely one for you. Maybe even Die with Zero by Bill Perkins, as we discussed. Okay, consider doing something with your tax return. So if you get a refund, what are you going to do with it? Don't treat it as general revenue. Give it a job. Make a note of it. All right, invest in your salary negotiation skills, and whether it's listening to a podcast, watching a video series, doing some test runs with people, that is so valuable, and you can often get a much better return doing that than just investing. And that pays off for everything, whether you're negotiating a house purchase or some other kind of purchase. All right, invest in your superannuation, or even just look at, do I have one super fund? Do I know what insurances I'm paying? Do I know what investment options I'm in? So make sure you've just sort of looked over it, and we've got lots of resources on that for you as well. Invest in your relationships. This is something important that we often overlook in all of our other goals, but it's super important long term. The quality of our relationships is a huge indicator of our long-term happiness. Research and invest in a company that you love, whether it's Apple or something in Australia. Pick something if you're interested in share investing, and just see if you can go through the process of looking through all of the reports and financials, and use our free courses to do that. Invest in your happiness. So book something in for next year with someone you love, someone you hate, and have something to look forward to. And finally, spend some time at the end of this year reflecting on the year you've just had, where you've spent your money, what brought you joy, what didn't, and think about your budget, your cash flow, and your investing plan for the year ahead.
What a wrap up. Now,
wow.
If you've got through that list and you've got a photographic memory, good for you. If you're like the rest of us, you can just head to the link in your show notes and you can get the 25 list. It's just freely available, so you can just grab a copy. It's a checklist there too. You can add it to your own Google Drive. And you can just tick off things as you go. There'll be resources in there too to get you started. You know, ETF investing course, Kate's book, all that sort of stuff's in there, as well as a link, Kate, to the Rask community. If you haven't already joined and you have something to share, please do share it with us, because we need ideas to share with more people to spread the kind of money saving, the investing tips and tricks. If you want to just get a second opinion on the company that you've chosen to research, jump into the community. Like, I'm in there every day. You can jump in and be like, hey, this is what I've looked at. Got a question on this. I can't find the answer to this. I'll give you some pointers. Jump in the Rask community. It's free. Kate, this has always been heaps of fun doing these with you over the years. We've got, now we've got nearly 130.
I think there's some overlap between the ideas, but definitely a lot of inspiration for you, and definitely jump into the community to let us know which ones you're trying. If you do save money, if you do start investing, we want to celebrate alongside you.
Yes, we do indeed. Still, the Hall of Famous, Kate said it was her potluck. My Hall of Famer comes from Kate, which is, if you're going to the cafe and you both drink the same thing, you're in a relationship, it's okay, no cooties. You can buy a large coffee and split it rather than two smalls. What a tip. Like, that's got to be the greatest thing that's
My
ever
parents' greatest money
hit
saving
the Australian finance podcast airways. So, Kate, this has been heaps of fun. As always, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks for watching this video on the Rask Network. While you're here, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can get videos each and every day on business, finance, investing, and so much more.